Why do people consider sumo deadlift cheating? And do you? Well, they consider it cheating because it is cheating.
And so apparently Jeff is trying to knock some sense into Chris Bumstead. He's got him held captive in his house, waiting for him to change his mind. Coach Greg, and what a video made by Jeff Nippard in response to Chris Bumstead. Loving this video. Is sumo deadlifting cheating? Chris Bumstead, along with 3/4 of the world, says it is.
Why do people consider sumo deadlift cheating? And do you? Well, they consider it cheating because it is cheating.
And well, I think everyone knows that it's not technically cheating. You're allowed to use the sumo stance, and so it's not really cheating. When I broke the Guinness Book of Records for deadlift, it was literally the most weight sumo deadlifted in a minute. So how are you cheating when you're doing the sumo deadlift when the record says sumo deadlift? But what I think people mean when they say it's cheating is the sumo deadlift easier? And so is it actually easier? Well, I think the answer is it depends, but let's watch the video and find out.
I think we're well acquainted, Chris.
And so apparently Jeff is trying to knock some sense into Chris Bumstead. He's got him held captive in his house, waiting for him to change his mind.
Say sumo isn't cheating, Chris. Simple. Sumo isn't cheating. Say it. Say it, Chris.
I consider sumo deadlift cheating.
And so the first point I want to make is every single person that says that sumo deadlift is cheating are people who lift more doing conventional. And so isn't that a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're saying, yeah, sumo's cheating because you in fact can deadlift more using conventional. But if you knew if you switched stances you could lift more, wouldn't you in fact do it? And so it stands to reason that some body types are better suited to pull sumo, while others are better suited to pull conventional.
To see if it is a cheat code for lifting more weight, let's take a look at some data from the IPF World Powerlifting Championships, where you have the best and most incentivized lifters in the world trying to deadlift as much weight as possible for both themselves and the respective countries.
And so because people see the sumo as being a shorter range of motion, they feel like it's cheating. Kind of like when you do a half squat, you're only going halfway down, and so you can lift a lot more. But is that actually the case in a sumo deadlift? Is your range of motion really that much shorter when doing sumo versus conventional? And if so, why aren't all the best lifters in the world who clearly want to win, why aren't they all pulling sumo?
This is the percentage of male lifters in the 93 kilo or 205 pound weight class who deadlifted using a conventional stance, and this is the percentage of lifters who used a sumo stance. If sumo really was a cheat code, why would the majority of lifters choose not to use it?
And so in the 205 pound weight class at IPF Worlds, over 50% of the athletes pull conventional, while under 40% pull sumo. This is my weight class, and so if it's actually cheating and you can lift more pulling sumo, why isn't every single competitor pulling sumo? Do you think they're actually competing thinking, I'd rather get 9th place pulling conventional than win pulling sumo? No, they're using the style of deadlift that allows them to have the greatest total. Everyone at Worlds wants to win, and so if they're all trying to win, why aren't they all pulling sumo? Well, because they can't pull more sumo. It's as simple as that. You are going to pull in the fashion that allows you to lift the most weight.
For comparison, let's look at another technique that people also consider cheating: arching on the bench press. This really seems to help lifters move more weight. So what's the percentage of lifters who used some kind of arch at that same competition? 100% of lifters use some kind of arch on the bench press because arching really does seem to help pretty much everyone lift more weight.
And so if you really think that no, they just wouldn't cheat, well, a lot of people think that arching your back on the bench press, that's also cheating because it decreases the range of motion. I arch as much as possible and I use the widest grip I possibly can. It allows me to decrease the range of motion and lift the most weight. And if you look at IPF Worlds, what percent are doing the arch? All of them, every single one. And so if it's actually cheating, why are they all cheating on the bench press but not on the sumo? And so it stands to reason if you're willing to cheat on the bench press, you'd be willing to cheat on the deadlift. And so given the fact that they're pulling conventional, not cheating, it stands to reason the reason they're pulling conventional is because they can lift more weight, not because it's cheating.
We do see a pretty clear trend. Looking over here at the second lightest weight class, we can see that about 75% of lifters pull sumo. And if we look at the super heavyweight class, it flips. Only 25% pull sumo and 75% pull conventional.
And so if you really look at the data, the smallest lifters, they tend to use sumo the most. The biggest lifters, they tend to use the conventional the most. It all has to do with body sizes. Bigger athletes tend to prefer conventional and smaller athletes tend to prefer sumo. And so is there in fact a decreased range of motion when pulling sumo in comparison to conventional? Answer is yes. He tested out of himself a difference of 3 inches, and with some random stranger named Will Tennyson, also had a decreased range of motion. And so it's true, you will in fact be pulling the bar for less difference if using sumo. But it doesn't mean you're going to lift more. Just because you have a decreased range of motion doesn't mean you're automatically going to lift more weight. Just look at the bench press. If the lower the range of motion, the better. Why isn't every single bench presser bench pressing as wide as humanly possible? Why are some people lifting more close grip than wide? It depends on what you're better at. If you have really strong triceps and a weaker chest, you're probably going to lift more with a closer grip. Weak triceps, strong chest, probably better with a wider grip.
For comparison, just think about a full depth squat versus a half squat. The hardest part of the squat is clearly the bottom half.
If you're doing a half rep on the squat with a decreased range of motion, you're almost certainly going to be lifting a lot more weight. I can squat a lot more halfway down than I can all the way down to the floor. But in the sumo versus conventional, it's totally different. Just because there's a decreased range of motion doesn't mean you're going to lift more. The difference is what muscles are you actually using and what muscles are strong on your body. I have very strong legs and a weak lower back. L4, L5, herniated disc. Back's hurting. I'm throwing it out all the time. It sucks. And so when I pull conventional, I'm using less legs and more back. AKA, I'm not going to lift as much weight. In comparison, when I'm pulling sumo, less strain on the back, more legs, and therefore I'm lifting heavier weights. And so depending on where your strengths are, that is going to dictate which form is going to be better for you. Weak back, strong legs, clearly you're going to be better at sumo. You have a very strong back, but not so strong in the legs, you're made to do conventional.
The same goes for lat pull downs. Every inch you go wider than shoulder width, the range of motion decreases. But everyone knows that's not a big deal. You might activate the back muscles slightly differently by going a bit wider, but as long as you're getting sufficiently close to failure, I can't imagine anyone saying that a wider grip lat pull down is cheating.
And so Jeff brings up a great point and never really thought of this. Does anyone consider doing lat pull downs or a chin up with a grip wider than straight over the head to be cheating? After all, if you grab wider, you have a decreased range of motion. And so if you're doing chin ups like this, are you cheating in comparison to using a shoulder width grip? No one ever says that's cheating, and so why is it cheating to have a decreased range of motion on the sumo deadlift?
With conventional, you can see that the knees are not nearly as bent in the starting position, and they don't go through a big range of motion at all. It's actually more similar to a half squat. But with sumo, the knee angle starts much deeper, and then there's a larger knee extension range of motion throughout the lift.
And so when you actually examine the sumo deadlift versus the conventional, look at how much range of motion you have in the legs. When I set up for a sumo deadlift, my ass really low to the ground, my legs almost parallel. When I do conventional, my hips are much higher. My legs are not doing as much work. In comparison, when doing the conventional deadlift, I have to lean over a lot more to grab the bar with my back. And so therefore, there's greater range of motion in my upper body. Legs, not so much. Upper body, a lot. And so if you experience discomfort in your lower back rather than doing conventional, a lot smarter to do either sumo deadlifts or use the trap bar. This prevents you from having to lean over as far, less strain on the lower back, less likely to get injured, more time in the gym. And so what are the difference to the muscles in the real world? What is the big difference? Well, hamstring and glute activation, it's about the same. And so if you're picking one over the other because you think it's going to develop your hamstrings, your glutes more, probably not, probably about equal. And so if you want to focus more on your back, conventional is going to be better, while if you want to focus more on your legs, well, sumo is going to take the cake on that one.
Given just how similar the two lifts are, I'd recommend just going with the one that you feel stronger with or the one that you feel more comfortable with. Or you can use both.
And so is it in fact cheating? Is it easier? Well, no, it depends. Clearly, if it was easier, everyone would be doing it in the competitive sense. My personal opinion, I wish they had both. I wish you would do the conventional and the sumo, add them up together. Whoever lifts the most is the best deadlifter, because sumo deadlift, conventional deadlift, those are two different deadlifts. If we add up both, we could find out who is, in fact, the best deadlifter. And so for me, a person who can pull 700 pounds sumo, 650 conventional, that is a stronger deadlifter than one who can pull 705 conventional, but only pulls 500 sumo. And so what should you do as an athlete? Well, my suggestion, try them both. Discover for yourself, is there one you like more than the other? Are you trying to hit certain body parts and not others? And based on that, do the one that you enjoy most, the one that makes you happy. Let's face it, if you like a lift, you're probably going to train it harder than last time. If you hate doing it, you're probably not going to give it the attention you deserve. And so please stick to the one you enjoy. You want to do the other style after? Then by all means, you can do some sumo, some conventional, some trap bar. Just mix it up and have fun. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IP Pro. Reminder, please join the newsletter list. Nearly 200,000 newsletter subscribers. Giving away 5 free recipes, free shit every week. Also, free training plan, free nutrition plan. Working on those, soon to be done. Please click the link in the description. Also, harder than last time supplements, testosterone, pre-workout, creatine, G-Shred, so much stuff. Just click the link in the description. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. Don't forget about that thing. It's called a cookbook. Buy the freaking cookbook. Also, the training books, coaching plans for me and my team. Watch the bloops. Don't forget about those. And until next time, I am out.